Welcome to the Fine Film Podcast. I'm your host, Sin George. Tonight, special guest, Nem Vucic, Sin Challenge. Welcome back.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Yeah, great to be back.
On your
How are
podcast.
you guys? What's happening?
Well, we all had a big trip together.
Yeah,
To
We
Europe.
sure did.
We had a very good time.
Took
We had
some
a very
time
fun
off.
time. Yeah. So we recharged the batteries, and here we are.
here we are back.
We're back.
Yeah, it's been a long
been a
stint
while.
for myself, but no, it's good to be back. I've rewatched some of our previous podcasts, and I realized I might have been a little too loud. So I'm trying to bring my
voice
my
down.
voice volume a little bit lower than
Hey,
previous
be
episodes.
who you really are.
I know, but
That's what's really
after
cool.
watching that
He's
what's it called?
redlining the audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. After
There's
watching
so much red light on that audio track.
What was it? The trivia night one. My God, I was just yelling.
Lock
and
it
screaming.
again!
Yeah, in my defense, I had like 6 glasses of scotch,
It
pure.
was apparently apple juice.
I just got it just wasn't good. So
Absolutely,
it
and I
just-
started yelling louder and louder each
It
second.
just completely ruined. Like I was just yelling at people. You guys were so composed. Like they're like, "Oh yeah, I think the answer is." I'm like, "Shut the fuck up."
Little
You're-
red button underneath.
So yeah,
Lower mic.
bring the volume down.
Lower mic volume.
Just disconnect
Just
the mic.
cut his volume for the whole hour.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Pick it up on the other two
So
mics.
hopefully this time, hopefully this time it'll be a little bit more.
I like that. You're a
Oh,
new man.
Yeah, I'm trying to be.
Let's see if you don't pipe up a little
I-
bit later and start
It's going to
screaming.
take one unpopular opinion from one of you two, and I'm just going to go right back into you're an idiot.
You absolute idiots.
So yeah, good to be back.
Good to be back. Good to have you guys back. We all saw a movie recently,
Yeah.
a new movie called Barbarian, which we all found very interesting. We thought it'd be worth to discuss, get our thoughts on it
Because we all saw it like within a week of each
within
other.
a week.
Yeah,
Where did you watch it? Did you watch it in
Like
Sunshine?
no, I downloaded it. I watched it at home. I mean, I watched it at
Oh.
home through a source
Oh.
that's unknown. Yes, I acquired a copy. Yeah, I watched it at home. It was good.
Cut that out.
yeah, I didn't even know about this movie until you told me you were going to go see it with
Because there was
your
nothing on.
partner. Yeah, and
There was nothing on.
I heard nothing about it.
Really?
Like, there was
At
no,
the time,
like,
there wasn't really anything you
it
wanted to watch.
was Halloween, and I assumed that there would be good movies on Halloween. And
Yeah.
the last Halloween came out, and apparently wasn't that good.
Yeah.
And I just saw The Barbarian,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to look at a trailer. I just saw the reviews are pretty good, and I said, you know what, I don't want to know anything about it. But I went in. Just
There has
blind.
been, I don't know. This was, we'll get into what we think about this one, but there really hasn't been anything,
Too many major ones.
too many major ones that I've kind of felt like I really wanted to go out and watch,
No.
Mm.
which is why I kind of just, didn't really watch any, mainly just downloading movies that came out onto like that.
Were you guys aware of this? I know you weren't really aware of it, but were you like? Did you know that it was coming out and stuff? Or you just kind
I
of
didn't
didn't
know
want
it
to
was
watch
coming
trailers?
out. I just saw it on the list. There was that movie with who's that guy's name? Kim Kardashian. That
Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson.
Oh,
Yeah,
Bodies,
Bodies,
or something, yeah.
Apparently that's pretty good, but it's
Mm.
More of a like a
more of a
teen
like
slasher,
a new kiddie kind of
Yeah.
horror.
Right,
So I'm like
right.
not watching that. And I
Yeah.
just saw that randomly. I said,
And then you mentioned it to me, and I
Nice.
looked it up, and I was like, all right, this is right up my alley. And I
I
think
hate
I watched
watching
it the week
trailers.
after. I told
Yeah.
him about it. I said we were going to go watch, and then you watched it the same night I did.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't really aware of it. I
Me
think
neither.
until I think you mentioned it. And
it
someone
was like
Yeah.
a sneaky
Yeah.
release. And you know what?
snuck up.
I really realized that you should watch trailers.
Yeah,
That's pointless watching trailers.
yeah. Trailers and like
It's
in-depth
ruined everything.
reviews of
This
anything.
ruins it these
Yeah,
days.
it's
Ruined
kind of
everything.
it just
Mm.
takes
3-minute trailers, you just see everything from start to finish. And then you got to fill in the gaps when you watch the movie. So no.
Yeah.
But I used to
I've
do those like, oh, okay, this movie looks good. It's got good reviews. Let me go see what
Yeah.
I don't know, like Jeremy Johns or
Mm.
Chris Stuckman say about it. And then you just watch this whole review and then you go in with like a certain expectation.
Mm.
Whereas this one, I was just like, okay, good reviews. I'm not even going to read the plot. I'm just going to go
See
into
what it
this.
is.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the reviews are good enough for me to go and have a look at it. So that's
Like
what
the
I did.
good old days, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get too
Big
much.
surprise is
I feel like they need to they're cutting trailers with so much content to like try and sell it because they're
It's
so
like TikTok
scared of
trailers, man.
yeah.
selling the movie. Like it's not gonna
Sell it
work
itself
and
short.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only movies that can sell themselves on like really like sneak peek 30 seconds are like movies that people really want to see. They hear
Big
about.
like Marvel
big
movies or
blockbuster
something.
movies, you know?
Yeah.
But for these horror ones that are like, no one really knows about it, like I need to sell it in a trailer.
Mm.
But then you
Well,
just
I
ruin it.
think, and I think I saw it with The Snowman.
Yeah.
I think people are just kind of giving you a whole lot, hoping that you'll come in, because people who like movies will go and form their own opinion. And The Snowman was the worst movie I've ever seen in my whole entire
Michael
life.
Fassbender.
But the trailer was one of the most.
You got sold.
I was just like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I
You
cannot
got
wait.
sold.
And my sister read the books and she's like, oh my God, so she explained like
It's going to be amazing.
She's like, yeah, the books are like supposed. So yeah, so trailers now, I just go off like a rough, just a number review. Anything above 60, I'm in.
Yeah.
Anything below that, then I'll get more in depth and see why it might be that low, and then I watch it. But this one was just like, yeah,
Sure. It's
This one
not
was
a
just
it's not a like well-known director as well.
No.
Like he hasn't done much and stuff like that. His name is Zach Kreger.
Hmm.
But he's done a good job.
No. Well, yeah, we'll get it.
We'll get into it.
Get into it a little
But a
bit
quick synopsis of what the movie is. So a young woman discovers the rental home she booked in already occupied by a stranger. Against her better judgment, she decides to spend the night, but soon discovers there's a lot more to fear than just an unexpected house guest.
Yeah.
Simple. That's all you kind of need.
Yeah.
So yeah, directed by Zach Kreger, hasn't done too much. Barbarian.
Yeah, and I would also say, yeah, if you're watching this by the off chance and you haven't seen the movie, just watch the movie first.
Watch the movie first. Big spoiler warning.
Yeah. We're gonna be talking.
We're gonna break
about
it down.
What we really liked about this movie and our thoughts on the entire thing. But yeah,
check it out, and we'll get into the nitty gritty.
You've got from us, we all give it a thumbs up, and you've heard the synopsis. If it sounds like it's something you might be interested in, just get out there and watch it.
Watch it. Pause, and then
Yes,
come
it
back.
deserves a view,
Come back when you're ready
And then come
to break it down with
and
us.
then see if we match up in our opinions.
Well, first of all, the movie stars Bill Skarsgård. We all know and love him from the It movies. Super scary performances in there. Like I was telling you guys before, I still get scared when I just like see his eyes and stuff.
Face, man.
Yeah, like it's kind of like, not fair because he's a good looking guy.
Oh man,
but it's like
so handsome.
kind of scary. Right?
So creepy.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was in
He was
the
gonna be
movie.
in this, yeah.
So when he came out, I'm like, oh, he was gorgeous.
That's that
yeah.
It guy.
Yeah. He was gorgeous, yeah.
He
So
was
I'm
good.
like, yeah, it's such a shame to have him covered underneath all that makeup. in the It
Good
franchise.
good little role for him.
Right.
The main actress Georgina Campbell. And then our boy Justin Long also is one of the key players in this film as well. What did you guys?
Yeah, sorry.
No, go for it.
No, I was just gonna say, after watching, did you guys think at all that it could be like I thought it might have been a reintroduction of Jeepers Creepers.
Jesus Creepers.
I literally did when he was driving, like in that start of that second act, and he was driving down the beach, and he cuts to him, and I thought this was him like after like all the events of like Jeepers Creepers or
He
whatever.
died in Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying like he might have died, but I thought they were just
Something
resurrecting it with him.
Reincarnated.
And so when that started, I'm like, could this potentially be and
Jeepers
it
Creepers
wasn't,
3,
but
4?
I don't even know what they're up to. But
That was good. It was good to see him.
but he
see him
was,
as well.
he hasn't been around for ages.
Yeah.
Or I thought it could be a redo of Dodgeball.
Dodgeball as well. Average Joes. What happened to them?
This is where they're at now.
Yeah, Globo Gym have created a monster to take them all down.
To take them all down. So no, it was
but
good.
yeah.
It was good seeing him on a big film like
Good
this.
cast. We'll break down his character in a little bit.
Yep.
Maybe we can talk about like the first act of the film because it's kind of broken down into like what kind of happens at the start, right? And then kind of a horrific kind of ending to that first bit, and then cuts to kind of Justin Long.
Yeah. And then,
What did you guys think of that kind of first act of the film? Like it's that awkward kind of relationship or awkwardness between the
I had no idea what was going on for like.
Yeah.
You kind of get a glimpse of like, I think I know what's going on. And then something like paranormal happens. I go, I don't think something's going on. And then you're like, wait, maybe it's him or maybe it's not him. So that the first act was like just.
You're wondering if Bill Skarsgård is the bad guy, right?
Because at first I thought he was. I'm like, you know what? He's going to do some whack shit in the house.
Yeah.
God knows what. And then that night they both fell asleep. And then I was like questioning everything. So it was like kind of throwing it at a loop in and out.
Yeah, you're trying to figure
I
out.
100% agree with you. That's why I love that first act so much. It was such a he was such a good red herring in this entire thing. Like she enters the house, he's there, he's kind of mysterious. The situation is kind of strange.
You can't read him really.
You can't really. You don't know. Like you don't know what to believe. So for the whole first.
Overly nice.
Yeah. So for the whole first, what is it, half hour of the movie,
something
when
like that, yeah.
you're kind of just like, okay, he's the bad guy. And then something will throw you off that scent. You're like, okay, no, he's good. But then who is the bad guy? And then he does something again, and then you're like, oh, no.
Yeah.
So that whole play between the two of them, was so well done to just keep you on your toes and constantly second guessing what's potentially going to happen next. That whole chemistry and that whole first act, just that part alone, excluding the actual like main part of the first half, which is the last like 10-15 minutes, whatever it is.
He's kind of being awkward, but trying to be nice, but not trying to be creepy. But comes up a bit creepy.
And then they connected.
But then they
started
connect.
connecting, I'm like, wait, how does he know this stuff? I'm like, maybe he's got a background on her. And I'm like, well, what's going on? Does he really know something about it, or is he actually this guy? That throws you out the loop as well.
Yeah, he really throws you. I was watching it with my partner and her cousin. And the whole first like half an hour, they're like, he's a piece of shit. He's he's a murderer. He's gonna kill her. And I was like, oh, I don't think
you don't know.
I don't think he's the bad guy.
Even so, the first night she's there and she goes to bed, or the second night, sorry. Was it the first or the second? I'm not sure. But anyway, when she falls asleep,
it's like her door.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that's what I was getting to. So like, when her door like slightly opens, you're like, okay, let's see what happens here. And it cuts to him. And then he's in the bed and he's like shaking and he's having some kind of a nightmare. So at that stage, I was like now back, okay, he's the bad guy. He's like some kind of like a sleepwalker, blah, blah, blah. And then she's approaching the bed and then you see the door close behind her. And then you're just like, okay, there's something completely different going on.
Paranormal. Doors, I'm like, that's something paranormal.
So you were just constantly back and forth as to what the hell is actually going on in that whole entire first act. And it was so well done. And both, like
really
I've seen,
throws you off.
I just thought them two together in that first half hour to 40 minutes of the film was just so well done. I really enjoyed that. And then coming to the
what kind of happens?
Climax discovering to that first act was just, and then your mind ticks over again, and you're like, oh my god, like what the hell is actually happening in this entire thing? I just thought it was so masterfully done, that first act.
And it was funny.
And it was funny as well.
When she went downstairs, she's like, nope.
But it was also like they did a good job at not just like jump scares. It was just that constant feeling of uneasiness. While you're watching that film, you're just kind of sitting there.
The setting,
you're waiting for something to happen. It's not just like jump scare after jump scare after jump, where you're just kind of like, by the end of it, you're like, oh my god, just exhausted from all of that. But
it wasn't cheap, scare.
It was just so nicely paced, and it just, I just, the whole time, and I watched it with my partner as well, and she was sitting next to me, and she's like, he's the bad guy. Oh, he's the bad guy. She's like, oh no, but he seems, oh no. Oh, that he's definitely, oh, he's gonna, oh no, maybe it's, and then it's just, and then she finally walks down the stairs to that basement,
discovers it,
and then she opens the door, and then the second room, and you're just like, what actually is happening?
Is this his thing? Right? You still think it's him.
But you still, you still can't really.
Even like when she discovers all that, and then he comes into the house, and he's like, "Oh, I just want to see it. Like, I just want to go and see it." And then like he still goes down there, and then he's not answering back, and it's like, "Fuck, is he gonna get her when she gets back down there?" And
it's
sort of
constant.
Yeah,
like,
you
that's
don't really know.
For that whole entire first act, you just have no idea where it's going, and then I'll give him credit. It went to a place that you can kind of maybe see coming, but still, it was still a curveball. Like,
because I thought, he's quiet now. He's gonna take in the room and cameras on and goodbye. But then once that second door opened up, I'm like, what the hell's going on? And it just keeps going and going and going. Yeah, it was nuts. It was
when he crawls out of the darkness, that bit of light on
there's someone here.
That was the scary.
Still then I thought he's gonna lure it in. He's gonna flick the switch.
He had those it eyes at that moment.
He's had creepy eyes. I'm like, he's doing something. He's doing something.
Don't trust this guy.
But I'd still say, for me, that was the perfect like reveal of the monster / evil entity of the movie. That those two, him coming out of like the darkness, and you're like, oh holy shit, like is he just playing an act?
What is it?
And then you see from behind him the second person appear, and my god, people legitimate. I haven't heard a scream in a cinema that loud in a very, very long time.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was just like, what? Like, it just catches you. Like, yeah.
What were you like?
It was, that first act. If they ended the movie there, I would have been kind of pissed off because I'd like to know what was going on.
Great short film though.
But my God, if that ended right there, I would have gone and I would have just gone into like a whole like YouTube and explain just to find out what actually was the whole point. Yeah. So that first act for me in terms of like horror and suspense and thriller and all of those things just combined was just so well done.
You know what the other part is that obviously the mother shows up and like you're scared and everything like that, but then she fucking slams his head and kills him.
Yeah.
And then there's also like a sadness you feel because you're like, oh, he was like a good guy. And they had a good connection. They kind of got along as well. And you're like, oh well, that's him. Like it's him done.
That was a quick out.
Quick out.
Because and I think it was well done because I think because of their connection and that whole I don't know, I felt an attachment to the both of them at a certain stage.
You cared about it.
So I really liked him when you kind of think, okay, no, he might be the good guy and then the bad guy. He played his role so well that you fell in love with him, even though in the back of your mind, like he could do something pretty messed up. And then when he finally like bites the bullet and gets his head like crushed, you're just like, oh, and it was really kind of like, I was really upset. I'm like, oh man.
No.
And you kind of feel bad throughout the whole time that you were second guessing him at this stage.
It's funny, he was so genuine, but just our natural instincts like, sum it up with you. Too nice.
Yeah.
Too nice.
I remember turning to my partner saying like, apologize to that man. Apologize to him.
Sorry to him.
Yeah. Sorry to him. Look at me dark.
It was,
But then like the big thing is like the contrast between that dark, scary kind of place and then Justin Long on the highway singing tunes
red car.
You're like, singing like the happiest song.
You're like, what movie am I watching? Like, what is this? That was cool. It's like it was kind of mix of genres and stuff like that.
It was fun. It was fun. It was a fun little. I think you needed to lighten the mood after something like that.
Skull getting crushed.
If you just keep going down that level of intensity straight away after that happens, I think it just would have been a little bit too much. But they cut it, and then our boy Justin Long, and he gets
Let's talk about Justin Long. Let's break him down because obviously he's a big part of the film. That this is the point where we kind of get introduced to him. You find out that is he what's his position? Like, he's an actor.
He's an actor.
Is he an actor?
Yeah. So
he director or something, or
I'm pretty sure he was an actor.
Industry. He's in the industry.
Yeah.
But you find out that he's getting a sexual assault accusation, right, against him with someone at his work and stuff like that. So then you're like, fuck, this guy's life is like falling apart. He's a piece of shit, like all these things. And obviously, like, we see in the film, like, where the story leads him. He needs to kind of liquidate his assets, goes to that house and kind of ends up.
That was one of his assets. So this entire house that was like the whole premise of the movie, which was, the people rent this place, ends up actually being his. And he kind of has to go back to, settle his and make money because now he's going to have to fight this like legal battle because he was, accused of sexual assault. So it kind of, I think they played well with that as well, where they just where they came out like, oh, it's happy, it's beachy, this guy, what's going to happen next? And then you find out he's also, there's also something like messed up there. And then he goes back to that house. But it was great. Seeing him back. It's been so long. I don't know. Maybe he's done more recent
he's
stuff.
Done things. I don't know if you guys have seen a film called Walrus.
No. I know. Is it Tusk?
Oh, sorry, Tusk.
Yeah.
Where he plays the ball. The movie's called Walrus, where he plays the Tusk.
I've heard of Tusk.
Yeah.
Tusk is interesting.
I haven't seen it, no, but
I was like low budget and stuff like that.
I haven't seen that one. So he might have been doing things that I haven't been watching, but it was good. I don't know.
When was the last time you watched him? Dodgeball?
I honestly think it was Dodgeball. He might have made like some cameo appearances and stuff that I might have forgotten.
Here and there.
Yeah. But
Zack and Miri make a porno.
He was in that? I haven't seen that. So there you go.
There you go.
So I haven't seen that, so I haven't. But it was a good little transition, and then the story kind of continues from there. Like, because you're just kind of left at Monster, the girl, and our boy Skarsgård.
Who owned the Airbnb? Like, who was doing the Airbnb website?
No. He did it through whichever company it was. So he just puts up his house and the company agent.
So he's forgot. Is it like two websites and just?
Well, how did they get that double booking? I don't know if they really explained it, but it's probably like that.
In that period of time, he called the agency, like, we haven't had anyone book in the last like 4 months.
Oh no, but that was that's how long. So when he comes back, he's like, there's people still here, but nobody's really booked since, and those people never left because
I want to speak about the neighborhood as well. The neighborhood, when she went at night and she looked around, it's like, there's
Detroit.
no lights on. And the next day, she's like, all the houses are fucked. There's no one there. Just
and
that one house that's just done up and normal.
Yeah.
Everything else is like run down.
Bring up, like I completely forgot about that. But that's actually that's what I mean. The world building in this small, like
there's quite a bit happening. Like you get to learn quite a bit.
When she finally like comes out of that house and you see the neighborhood that she's in, you just kind of, again, it's like this beat down, run down, nobody's there.
Would you go back to that place after that one night and you see that the next day? I probably wouldn't.
No, but this is the other thing. Like, what's her deal? Why does she have to stay there? She's like interviewing for a job, right? And it seems like a pretty good gig.
And she got the job.
She got the job.
And even the girl's like, why
are you staying there?
It's one of those horror movie tropes.
You have to let it go.
If she just went and slept in her car, like you would have. That's a pretty boring.
There's a convention on. There's no hotels.
Right? It's kind of a boring film if it ends. Just horror movie tropes to keep the story going.
That convention thing kind of makes sense though. It's like she was trying to book something, there was nothing available, and she got that place.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it makes sense when you know the full story. But when you don't know the story, you're like, he's fucking talking shit again. This motherfucker's trying to kill her. So
what's your deal, guy?
Why are you doing this to this young lady? She seems so lovely.
What's so I guess all right, like Justin gets there, he's doing his thing. We find out he's a piece of shit because like he shows off a little bit, like he meets up with his friend.
Yeah.
He kind of admits that he was in the wrong, like what he was doing. So you get to learn that he's not a good guy, right?
Yeah.
He's crossed the line like several times or whatever. But then like his introduction to the mother, because I want to talk about who the mother is, what's happening down there. What did you guys think about that? Like the reveal of like her being down there. She's watching this like breastfeeding fucking video, which is creepy as fuck. She's keeping the original woman played by Georgina.
So that's when we find out she comes back. So
she comes back, yeah.
Well, it's funny how like he gets to it. This is what I mean. Like with that start of that second act, it's kind of a little bit more lighthearted when he finds the room first. He's kind of like, I can get more money for this. Sure. So he starts measuring how much more square. So he sees this room and you can tell there's blood on the walls,
on the sheets,
and all these more.
Space.
And then you see him like Googling how much can I get per blah blah blah. So he starts measuring. So you still go and you know what's going on there. So you're kind of like, okay, where's this going to go? And then he finally gets the tape measure and starts heading down.
This guy's an idiot.
The tunnel. And we finally have that first.
He doesn't even blink. He's like, whoa, more.
And it just keeps going and going.
Like, do you know where you are? Look around you. You idiot.
Yeah, it was, but he was just so hell bent on just getting as much money as possible in this entire thing. And then, finally, just keeps backing up until he bumps into
how much can I get for a dungeon?
Rape and murder dungeon. What's that on the market?
I could get some extra money for that.
So probably one of the like more fucked up scenes like throughout that whole like sequence. Obviously, like he gets caught in that little chamber thing or whatever, and then like she gives him the fucking bottle.
Have the milk. There's a hair on the bottle. And it's like, I'm not having.
Question for you guys: would you drink from the bottle in that scenario?
You have to.
Oh man, look.
I'd be sucking on that.
You have to.
You probably have to, man. If that girl's telling me to suck on that shit, I'll be doing that. Because she looks like she's been there for a while.
Yeah.
You've been here for a while, yeah.
But
she's just like, you have to do it, trust me.
Yeah.
So she didn't suck it for a bit and she got slapped.
She got slapped.
She got slapped.
She knows what happens when you don't suck that
when you don't suck
baby bottle.
Yeah, the bottle. But this is again why I liked like the multi dimensions of the monster itself. Like from that scene, you kind of see
what she's trying to do,
what she's kind of doing. So it's
like
not
creepy.
Yeah,
creepy.
It's not like I'm just hell bent on killing and whatever.
It's not chaos.
It's kind of like so when that scene happens and the mother offers up the milk and you kind of like no she just wants you to eat. You're hungry. This is what she thinks the right thing to do. You're kind of like so this isn't a crazy lady that just wants to kill. This is there's something more to this character. It's not just that. So
nurturing.
So that's why when she put the bottle down, even though it was disgusting, I think like the top of the bottle had like hair on it, and like
hairy nip,
and you're kind of like disgusted by it. But as the story progresses, you just find out where that's all like
where it's coming from.
Yeah, and again, it adds another dimension to another character that you have built and
Sure.
you've already judged after what she did to Skarsgård. You're just kind of like, okay, crazy monsters. Everybody's going to die now.
Sure.
And we're having flashbacks. During those times, we're having random little flashbacks.
Yeah.
We were. Yeah, you're right.
Bits and pieces. You're like, what's going on now?
Yeah.
So like, you had those 2 acts, and you're having these flashbacks from the 70s and 60s. You're like, wait a second.
And it's kind of showing the neighborhood when it was at its peak.
What was happening?
And what happened to this neighborhood?
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Well, the guy, he's obviously like a creep,
He's
right?
a creep. Yeah.
He was kidnapping women?
Yeah. So
Looks like it, yeah.
He found a hot neighbor and he just observed, and he had his it's funny, did he have Jose on his?
He did,
yeah.
Jose, the most whitest guy called Jose. I'm gonna check your electric, and just comes to the house and just checks
something
everything,
like that. Yeah,
keeps the window open, locks the window, and leaves, and comes back.
Yeah.
Well, later at night to kidnap him.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah.
Then you're kind of putting it together. You're like, okay, what's going on
Who is
here?
this guy?
Yeah, he must have.
And maybe this woman is a woman he kidnapped.
But he also shows, like, I think that was important. I'm happy I completely forgot about the flashback scenes, but I think they were very important where he's shopping for baby stuff.
Yeah.
So he's going into this supermarket to start off with. So he just drives out of his house. He just looks like a normal suburban area, happy 70s. It's all vibrant and colorful. And he goes into the shop and he's shopping for, I need like a tarp. We're doing a home pregnancy. I need nappies. I need all this sort of stuff. So he looks like he's preparing for some kind of a birth of a child.
Sure.
And then as he's driving home, that's when he spots the neighbor and he kind of just goes to his car and pretends he's an electrician by the looks of it. And he's there to suss the plumbing or electrician or plumber. Doesn't really matter. But so he, so that whole scene I think was interesting because
it was important to show.
I think every scene that
brought it into like a square ratio as well, which was like good filmmaking.
It was it just looked it looked like really nice, and it just kept steadily progressing where you're being drip fed information.
But you're still questioning because you're like, does he have a daughter? Does he have then like you see him being a kidnapper? But he's like got a girl kidnapped as a young girl. Like you're still trying to put the puzzle together, and you're still kind of confused, which is good.
Yeah,
like them said, drip feeding.
Yeah, drip feeding you information.
I'm getting it. I don't know.
Because
I don't know.
It's kind of like you're just getting a little bit of information, and then they kind of go back to the movie as is, and then you're left to like, okay, what was that about? And then you start thinking, and like, is this? He spoke
to the neighbor, didn't he? He's like, "You gonna stay here? I'm gonna sell my house."
The neighbor's selling, and he's like,
"I gotta get out of this neighborhood, man. This neighborhood's gonna be good. I'm staying.
I won't stay."
But and then I think he cuts back from that scene, and then because
a lot of shit happens.
Our boy, what's his name, Justin Long, decides not to have.
He was a bad boy. Then he got taken into the baby room. To feed on mother's teat.
Milk straight from the teat.
That was another scene. That was
a bit hard to watch. Not hard to watch.
But it was very like.
She was so strong.
She
was a behemoth, man.
Dude, if that woman played
just
WNBA,
she was dominate the league.
She's got the strength of LeBron James.
She was powerful. But even the way she climbed out of the pit, like you could see that she's like superhuman in some form.
Yeah, like she's jumping.
She grabbed him and dragged him out as she climbed, and then you see when what was her name again?
Georgina.
Tess or Georgina. Tess is the character. She's trying to climb out and she's having a lot of trouble. So again, you're getting a little bit more information. You're like, no, this mother has this character who was the mother, has these like superhuman.
What was that? Like, was that superhuman strength?
I just think. Can we get into this part?
Yeah.
I just think like all the inbreeding, man, just made some super genetic freak.
I think that's
set my foot. And she was like jacked. Her vertical leap's like 60 inches. Like, where's she jumping, man? She's just jacked.
The dad found a formula that clearly works.
Yeah.
To create a superhuman.
No, I think because who was it? What was his name? Was it Andre? Was that the homeless man?
The homeless man, best character of the film.
He was so much fun. Yeah. I think it's Andre.
When he first scares her on the street, he's like, "Don't go now!" It's like, "Get away from me, freak!"
It's kind of again another red herring that was just thrown at you. Like, okay,
I'm misjudging him. I'm like, run away from that guy. He'll kill you.
But
misjudging.
But he kind of alludes to the fact that there was some kind of like that family's been around there for ages.
That man has not left that.
So there's something going on.
Well,
I think you're right.
He tells him that it's inbreeding, right? So he would have raped someone, kidnapped someone had a child with that child and just kept going, right?
Dude.
But how many generations? Like, could have been like
He's
3
there for
or
like
something.
40 years.
True.
He was there for a real, and plus, so going back, I think, yeah, we're right. So she takes him out of the little cave that he fell into.
Yeah.
And she kind of runs in and she goes to breastfeed him directly.
Yes. As you put it.
At this point, Tess
definitely.
decides to just run for it.
Bold.
And she finally, this was her first chance. She kind of gets out.
What does she do then? She tries to go back in.
They're all.
Didn't she go to the police first?
She goes to the police, which is why I liked this one better.
Wait,
this is what I was going to bring up.
No, she gets saved by the homeless person.
Yeah. And then when you see him, you're like, oh wait, he's actually
A
good guy.
Again, yeah.
And then she said, oh, she's crazy. She's crazy. Like, well, she's not the worst one. And you're like,
That's
wait,
the worst thing in that house. Yeah.
what else is in the house? And then you slowly start to think maybe that man is still in there, or maybe there's someone else in there.
Sure.
Still. And then she goes to the petrol station, sees the cops, and the cops aren't.
And what about those cops, man?
That was pissing me
But
off.
I think the cops were kind of like we go through this entire movie. Like he just made a judgment on appearance. That's what we were doing throughout this whole movie.
Yeah.
Everything we'd see, we'd make a judgment on it straight away. So when we saw that, so they were doing the same as we were doing.
I'm not a junkie. I'm not a junkie. I'm sure you're not a junkie.
Sure. We're going to go somewhere else. But they just judge her on her appearance in that stage as well, because she's obviously been locked up for months by the looks of it.
Well, yeah.
She looks a little bit run down.
Stinks.
Stinks
like shit.
And
she's been drinking milk.
Stinks like shit.
So yeah,
it was rough.
But
look, that's the whole theme of this film, and like it's all about like misjudging, and like it's all about like kind of her, how she feels about certain men and stuff like that, or like it's in general, like women, if they should trust someone, not trust this man, things like that. So it's like taking a look at like how men perceive things, like, and if they trust something or not, because she even says at the start, she's like, if I fucking opened the door, you would have just ran straight in, no questions asked, everything. It's like, I'm a woman, it's different for me, it's different for women, we have to think about all these things and stuff like that. So everything that she does in the film, she makes a few bad choices, but it's like it's very much like on that theme of like the choices you make, how you perceive
perceptions
people. Perceptions.
I think perceptions was the
and it's the same with the cops, like they perceived her as just a fucking junkie or whatever, and they're like, fuck this, we know this area, I'm not gonna fucking help you. Like you're mad,
they kind of just follow protocol. They just check the house out.
Yeah.
They see that it's like a well-to-do house.
Charge you for breaking
into the house. Exactly.
Huh? I was in this house like 4 months.
Which is why I think her going back in, I think she realized she just wasn't getting any help, and she was just being a good person. And
she's like, I can't leave that guy. He's getting murdered right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're kind of hoping that. And I think at this stage she kind of knows the mother. She's been there for 4 months. She knows that like she might not potentially be the murderess.
She's her
She expected the guy down there just along to be the same as the other guy.
Yeah.
Like a nice, kind, and he did the same thing for her. But this guy was an asshole.
Yeah. So when you find out more about him, you find out that he's actually a shit person. So he's not a good guy. He probably doesn't deserve this, because he's pretty much guilty on sexual assault, and
it was a reflection for me as the old man. I saw bits of the old man in him, and I'm like, wait a second, you are a pig, just rich. You're like the old guy, he's rich.
But that was another interesting part when he finally escapes from Mother, when she goes running after Tess.
Yeah.
And then he kind of runs back in, and then Tess escapes and hits her with the car, and then she comes back for him, and he's walking to and then he sees like electrical cables leading into like another room.
Yeah.
And you see the mother like walking up towards him. And then when she sees that he's close to this door,
she lets him go.
Kind of fades away and like backs out. So then you remember what the homeless man said, Andre, and you're just kind of like, oh,
like what?
Okay, so there is something worse than her.
Yeah.
And then he opens the door, and it's he's there, but he's disheveled and he's old and like he was literally on his deathbed.
He's like, what are all these tapes?
Smell like shit and cum.
Shit and cum everywhere.
Oh, that stinks. Like, that probably smells like shit and cum. There's a lot of freaking filled up socks. Just a lot of socks.
Fluid,
Who's taking care of this guy? You think his daughter or whatever she is to him?
I think so. I think so. But there's nobody else there. He literally cannot. Looked like he could not move. So it was probably just pure fear. From the but then he kind of like finds this collection of tapes. This is the
names, like, some just like descriptions of people,
years and stuff like that. But it's just red hair. So Justin puts like one of these in, and you're kind of like, you figure out
what's
going on.
And in the meantime, he's like, give me something. He's like, oh, you want a drink? You want a drink? And he brings him the little
table
on the side. And he's like, you animal, you freak.
But even that's interesting because Justin Long's a piece of shit as well, for him being like,
all he did was he didn't record it. This guy recorded his things and he's keeping it. This guy did the same thing. He raped, but now he's putting judgment upon him, and goes back to that old judgment. Again, it's not justified. That's a right form of judgment, but in his case, he has no right to judge anyone when he's the
that was his reflection.
He saw a lot of reflection for him.
And then he's like, you animal, and he's like, wait. Shit.
But that's when, I think that was the first time where the story
reflect. Maybe he didn't even understand. Maybe he thought he was a piece of shit, but he wouldn't reflect on himself.
I feel like he did, because after that scene, and after they get out of the house, and they sit with the homeless man, Justin has a good moment where he's kind of talking about. He kind of says a couple of lines where you think he's talking about the situation, but he's really talking about his own situation. It's about like, who am I? Like,
but then he throws that out the window at the end.
And then he fucking flips again.
I'm like, no, you are a piece of shit.
Such a piece of shit.
He is.
Yeah.
It was,
But were you guys wondering why the old man killed himself?
Yeah, but it's going to get caught by cops. It's going to go to jail.
That's right. I was a bit confused by it. Like, shoot. You could have shot Justin.
I was going to shoot him.
Yeah, I know.
He would have gone to jail. But
he told them cops are on their way. And
getting him out of that bed would have killed him.
True.
Yeah, he was done. He was done anyway. I think he
man.
just wanted to die on his own terms at that stage. Yeah. He just wanted to die on his own terms. But then she comes back and she actually gets him out. And you think the mother's dead because she hits her with the car. And then, she runs in, saves Justin. They come back out.
He shoots her.
Yeah, that's right.
That's when he shoots her. So he fucks up again,
But I think that's a justified one. If you don't see who it is, then you're just kind of like, oh no.
Yeah, it's not like him shooting her on purpose. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
So,
but he also has that moment later where it's like, he shoots her there, not my fault. And he has that moment with her, but then obviously what happens on that fucking tower?
Yeah,
he's a piece of shit again.
But once they escape, that's when you're right. That's when Andre, the homeless man, he brings up that whole thing about them and the inbreeding that's going on in the house. And I think once they have the conversation with Andre, I think the story kind of pieces itself together, and you just get everything was given to you at this stage.
Yeah.
With the flashback scenes, with the mother actually inside, all of those things end up making sense, and you kind of get a whole picture to the whole movie. And this is what I also liked about the movie. There was just one more twist right at the end, where at this point, you're still thinking, even though there's it's these motherly qualities that this monster was displaying throughout the whole thing. When she rips Andre's hand off and she's like, oh no, she's actually like a monster again, she wants to kill him.
I thought that's the moment you were talking about, because he's like, the homeless man's like, oh, I've been here for 40 years. She's never come. She came through.
That was typical horror movie trope. She'll never come here.
When she kills him, rips his arm and kills him with his own arm. I was like, this is amazing.
Maybe she was being overprotective. Maybe she was being real mother instinct. She's like,
I'm
trying to kill my daughter. So maybe she's my baby.
But then they just break out into that chase scene where they end up on top of that water tower. And you think Justin again, and he drops the gun, and you're kind of like, okay, where's this going to go? Because the gun.
By the way, what a fucking idiot!
Boy, come on, man.
How do you drop that gun like that?
But then,
I was so mad.
You just hate that guy, man.
But just before that scene, again, when they were in that's when he had that moment of reflection.
Yes.
When they were inside the thing talking to Andre, he was kind of like, oh, okay, so you're kind of thinking, okay, this is his redemption arc. He's figured out what he's done is wrong.
Yeah, he's had an experience.
And he's like, holy shit, he's going to change his ways. He's going to be a good guy. You're kind of like, he's a piece of shit, but
how many times do you hear about that in real life? Someone's like, I'm going to change my ways.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm going to stop doing this. I do it again. Let's forget. And that was him.
That was him.
Maybe I'm going to change my mind.
15 minutes
later. A minute later, he's just like, I'm going to kick you off.
So they're on top of this silo.
You're dead.
The mother comes and he just literally grabs her.
Every man for himself.
And he just turns back into that piece of shit and he hurls
her
off.
He is.
Hurls her off the water tower, and you're like, he is a piece of shit. But then again, another
Mama.
and that look, I'll say it. That made me chuckle a little bit. That scene was pretty funny when you see the mother come off the edge of the water tower.
Spider-Man,
like she was falling, and like the CGI was kind of not the best in that stage. It kind of like it was a little bit comical, but and then that I think that's the final like twist to the story when like she actually risks. So the person who was supposed to be the monster actually risks her life to save the life of Tess.
Who's the monster now, motherfucker?
And you're trying to
Justin Long was a piece of shit.
Justin Long.
And it was Justin was the monster.
It was Justin Long all along.
See what I did there? Yeah,
but that
the mother saves her.
What did she say at the end? She's like,
yeah.
She's like,
but that's
that's so funny. And I felt bad at that moment.
That's what I mean.
So
again, you get flipped around on your opinion on a character in this movie where you're just
felt bad for her.
And it was, and I think you figure out what it is. This like all she wanted was a child of her.
She's deprived,
own.
man.
Deprived.
For her whole life.
So her whole life she's watching those videos about nurturing children, and she builds this idea of how it should be, and then people show up, and all she wants to do is be the mother, the nurturing character.
Exactly.
And she doesn't know how it's done. So like she thinks if they misbehave or whatever, she just doesn't have those instincts because like she was never taught. So she's just gone off these tapes.
Sure.
And there was that real sad bit at the end of that movie where she's kind of there and like she's kind of like, no, like I'm your mom. And it was a little bit, it was an emotional little scene. Yeah. You kind of like you see again that this person was just again a victim of their own circumstance. Like this woman
100%.
was just in this situation.
And it's interesting how that Tess also gave into the whole mother. Like she knew how to survive this situation because she knew what the mother wanted from her and kind of had that, played her cards right.
But I think and then she finally ends up killing her. She ends up killing the.
Well, what about ripping Justin's head in half? That was
good.
His eyes.
Popping his eyes out. That's what I mean. I think that was overkill, but a good part of overkill where you're kind of like, this guy's a piece of shit. He deserved a terrible death, and he got it.
It was a good death,
and he definitely got it. But and that pretty much wraps that film up. And I just,
man, he shot her. And then he kicked her off. What do you say? Like, I'm sorry for the second one.
But he tried to justify his actions again. So even when
that's when he was at his worst.
So he's like, no. What I was trying to, and he's trying to justify what he did again.
What I did was right because look, she's dead now.
I had to do it. All right. Like he was trying to blame it on her. At the end when she fell.
Because he was blaming it on the girl he raped. He wanted it. Like we didn't really say no.
Exactly. So you can kind of see
so many like.
You're kind of saying yes. Like kind of you're saying no, stop.
100%.
What does that mean?
Nah, for sure.
He wouldn't have changed his ways at all.
That was just a pig.
That was like
just a Hollywood pig.
The takeaway from it.
So
it's interesting. Let me give you guys some fun trivia. Well, it's not really fun, but it's trivia. on the Barbarian. So the script started out after Zach Cregger read the Gavin de Becker's book, The Gift of Fear, which encourages women to trust their intuition when confronted by obviously dangerous men. He used it as a writing exercise and began crafting a 30-minute short that consisted entirely of a conversation in which a woman continued to ignore a mounting series of red flags, which you can kind of see mimics a lot in the Barbarian,
for sure.
Right? So again, they liked it like a lot, so they ended up making it into a broader kind of story, into a full-length film. But again, that's kind of where all of this is kind of coming from. You kind of recognize that theme.
You can definitely pick it up.
Of what? Because she, like, throughout a lot of the movie, I was thinking, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you going back? Like, why are you doing this? Like, just get the fuck out of there. Get the fuck out of that city. Like, but obviously, interesting to play in those.
No. I knew it was taken from like a book. I didn't really read up much about it, but when you read that paragraph out just then, what that book is about, you can definitely see throughout this movie the influence of that. Because that we were thinking the exact same thing when we were saying in that first scene. You're kind of like, he's a bad guy. Like there are red flags there. Get in the car and go. Like this isn't a situation. But he ends up being good. Then with the second guy, it's like, I need to save him, but he ends up being bad. So there's obvious red flags everywhere throughout this movie for everyone. This is what I say. Everybody's judging everybody throughout this entire film.
Yeah.
So when you read that paragraph out, you can literally see that this is the whole concept of that movie. Now that we touched on it, maybe just not as eloquently as the writers of the book 100%. And that paragraph, but we touched on it in the exact same way. We just we saw that entire
it's very topical as well, because it's like, you know, men and women, differences between us, how we go about things, our intuition, like obviously, like, you know, it's sort of about like more risks. It's like, what are those red flags in everyday life, in relationships and this and everything like that. So it's interesting. Like the movie is just not like a, you know, fun horror film, something to get scared at. There's a lot of like actual interesting, like, what am I trying to say?
Social issues being like put forward, like exactly. About how men and women are perceived, or how men and women perceive the world around them,
perceive each other, and
for sure. Because she mentions it right off the bat. Like if I answered the door and you were there, you wouldn't care. You'd be like, I'll jump in, let's just do it. Like, oh, you don't want me, I'll go. You know, it just depends on what kind of a person he is. But there's definitely, we definitely see the world different. Like we're all large men.
What?
I don't think I've ever in my whole entire life had any kind of issue. Like when we used to, I used to catch trains home in the middle of the night when we used to go out, buses.
Night Rider.
So like, we never really had any of that kind of like an issue to think about, but I think normal guys that don't have those intentions, but there are definitely.
Well, imagine the situation for yourself. You're in that Airbnb situation, and the girl comes, you're twice her size. Like, that doesn't matter. If she does something, I'll fucking knock her out. But if you are the girl and you see a big guy, you're going to be very, very cautious. Like I'll be scared.
100%,
for sure.
You know? 100%. And as an audience member, you see the movie from a different perspective.
100%.
But if you are in their shoes, the fear and the anxiety would be so large, and those red flags would be freaking bright red.
Bright red,
bright red.
Sure.
100%.
So you see one or two, like, I'm out.
Because and that's why I think it did well to play on our like emotions and feelings. It's the same thing. Like we know, like these are red flags. Like, get out. Like, this is crazy. What are you doing? Constantly going back into dating. Like, why are you doing this?
Like the old horror movies, like, get the hell out of the house. Go back in.
I left my wallet. And you're like, leave the wallet. Just go.
I got my Mikey in there. I got $2 in my car.
I gotta catch a Night Rider if I don't get my wallet. So like, we see those red flags, and that's why it's that uneasy feeling from beginning to end of that movie. But
perceptions, even like what's his name again, the homeless man.
Oh, Andre approaching her for the first time, and she's like, "Fuck this!" Like homeless man, like, get away from him! Like, I don't want to listen to a word he has to say. You know what I mean? Like, and it's perception as well. Yeah, she just perceived him as the bad guy, and you find out later he's actually the guy.
Which most of us would.
Like, trusted Andre, didn't trust the authority.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. So it's just, again,
the police.
You heard it here, folks.
So overall,
interesting. I've got more.
Oh, there's
couple
more.
Yeah. Hold your horses.
Sorry.
Wrap this thing up. So Zachy Craigie, he originally offered the role of AJ, who's Justin Long, to Zac Efron. Efron turned it down, causing Craiger to rethink the role and offer it to Justin Long, who accepted.
You reckon Efron would have been jacked on steroids again?
I just think Zac Efron is...
Zachy Efron.
I much prefer... Oh, well, this is the thing. Are we making an assumption now that the guy that looks more like a...
Stop perceiving
nerdy
the normal way.
Sort of guy is going to be the more...
No, I like the doobie guy. I like Justin Long.
No, I like him.
But it depends what kind of Zac Efron it would have been.
But he would have been... I think it would have been him. I think that was what it was supposed to be. Like this really... Like I think it was supposed to be this like really hot
actor,
young built guy that's a piece of shit.
He's got everything.
So even just then, we literally just then in that question, we made a judgment. Like, oh no, I think Justin Long works better because he looks a certain way.
Yeah.
So,
Zac Efron could have worked.
It could have worked. Have you seen how jacked he is for that new wrestler?
Dude, he is eating so much steroids, man.
I know.
So his belly is sticking out. That's a typical sign of steroid use. Yeah.
It can't be that big.
HGH, human growth hormone. Yeah. That's the gut you get.
That's when you like you have abs, but you have a belly. Like
you have like 6 months a year to prepare for a role. You got to pack on 20 kilograms of muscle. It's not humanly possible to pack that much on.
Look, anybody out there who's thinking, like Thor gets his body just from like
Yeah,
eating
so
a clean diet
Captain
and working
America,
out every day.
Get out of here.
There's
man.
no chance.
Get that
Like,
fuck out
you've
of
got
here.
such a small amount of time to build so much muscle.
Mm.
Yeah, they stay fit, but to get that those arms aren't naturally occurring.
Yeah, nah.
Charlotte, you're a fitness expert. How long would it actually take to get that?
To get 20 kilograms of muscle,
Yeah.
unless you're a beginner.
You're talking from a doctor and an expert right here on the show.
A guy who, and Zac Efron trains, and he was pretty jacked before for Bad Grandpa.
Yeah.
He was jacked for that.
Baywatch, I think he.
And Baywatch,
yeah.
and now he's even more jacked. So he's packed on like 10 kilograms or 15 kilograms of solid muscle. That's at least 6 months of steroids, a lot of steroids.
Yeah.
And you see them like trainers like, well, what we do a lot of we do restricted blood flow training. But that's nothing. We're gonna get jacked from that. Like, this is their diet. You more chicken every day. I'm like, what's their stack? What kind of stack? What are you injecting twice a day, once a week?
Yeah,
No, they're all jacked.
you can't. Yeah, you just
Big money's involved, man.
You can.
Big money.
I think you plateau at a certain point. I'm sure you'd know this. I get all my information from you anyway. So
And
I'm just.
You think The Rock's natural? Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Man.
Come on, man.
He plays The Rock in every movie, and he's just like 6% body fat all year round.
Did you say he plays a rock in every movie?
He plays The Rock.
Oh,
He plays
sorry.
himself. I'm jacked just to do this.
Playing a rock.
I'm a rock.
Just to see him cutting by, just see him in the desert. Just
I'm a rock.
well done, Dwayne. That was brilliant.
$100
I'm not Dwayne, I'm a
million,
rock.
highest paid actor in the world, plays a rock.
Right.
But yeah, like those arms, like I could work out for the rest of my life and eat
good
healthy.
luck.
I'm not getting arms like that. Like I'm talking specifically on like the Thor build.
Nah, man.
That's just insane. Like
Look
when we
at the
saw him in
before
the
and
new
afters.
Love and Thunder, when he was like when Zeus like pins him
Yeah.
and his shirt gets ripped off, you're like, that is preposterous. Like that is so massive.
I heard something that was a body double.
Nah, there's scenes showing him in front of a
Okay.
green screen.
Cool.
And most
So,
people
rumor.
don't know that these people are unnatural. They're not natural. If you look at before and after, and that's in the space of a year.
Yeah.
You know, that might be a space of a lifetime to look like that with really a lot of hard work and a crazy diet.
Yeah.
And still maybe a little bit of drugs. But in a year,
But look, don't get me wrong.
Don't
I
give a
think
fuck. Yeah.
they like if I did steroids, I wouldn't look like Thor. It'll take me a lot longer. So he's already in a physical condition.
yeah, he's already fit, super fit.
When he gets on
Yeah.
the steroids, he'll pack on that muscle that he
course.
needs, and he'll just be that big. If I started doing it, it'd take me a lot longer because I'm starting at a terrible base level, like a much lower base level.
That's your job. Let's say you got offered 60 mil for a role. You've got a year to prepare for the role, and
you've got to look a
you've got to
certain
look
way.
big.
Yeah.
You got to take it.
You got to look like a god.
It's a job. It's a job, and you're a product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I take my top off right, I don't look like if I needed to look like a god in 6 months.
Lumberjack.
Somebody offered me 60 million right now and said, I need you to look like the god of thunder by steroids. I'm straight away calling everybody and being like,
will
I need to
drink
get
it
as
up.
much stuff as you.
You would eat it, you would inject it, you would snort it.
Every single
Do
point.
everything.
Shove it.
So again, it's not like I don't think any of us are being like these guys are shit people. If you want to do it, do it. Like at the end of the day, it's
Well,
like life. Do whatever you want.
you do, say Marvel calls you, Nem, we want you to play Moon Rider or some sort of character.
Yes.
Would you do it?
Yes.
Dude, if I'm going to be the god of
Charles?
thunder, I'll have to
Yes.
be jacked.
You have to
I'm
be.
not some skinny guy who's just like really athletic and I can just jump here and there. I want to be jacked.
Like it works for. I love how off topic we.
That's fine. It's
Fun
love how
facts,
off topic
you like
we-
steroids?
Anyway, we got off topic a little bit.
A little bit.
Steroid. Zac Efron took us on that
Sin's
journey.
podcast coming up. This Sin, not this Sin. They're both named Sin. I'm
Talking about steroids
more
for 6
confused than
hours.
anyone.
Steroid 6 hour
But if you want to
talk.
find out more about this, follow me. What's your Instagram?
My Instagram is Sin Challenge PT.
Yeah, have a look
Follow
if you
me.
want to get more.
We'll
more
put it up on the
physical.
screen.
Yeah,
Put on screen any kind of steroid talk and
yeah.
any
He's gonna
question-
have like a 12-hour special. Chris Hemsworth debunking Chris Hemsworth.
You on
Chris
Answer that question for
Oh,
6
yeah.
hours.
I know it.
But
You're
yeah,
on
a
steroids.
little bit off topic.
A
But
little
yeah.
bit off topic, but anyway, it was Zac Efron was supposed to be cast, but he turned it down. So Richard Brake, who plays the father,
Yeah.
that creepy father, he shared a story on Instagram about attending a late night screening of the movie. Right, so he noted that a particular group of teenagers sitting a few rows behind him were really into the film and were terrified. So when the movie was over, when they were leaving the theater, they were using their flashlights on their phones to get out, and they accidentally shined it in his face and started screaming. That's great.
He's here.
He's fucking here. He's here. Imagine seeing that.
himself.
God. Anyway,
That's hilarious.
the film is set on 476 Barbary Street. The year 476 was when the barbarians invaded Rome. So, director said he insists that it's very unintentional and purely coincidental.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But who
my
knows?
ass.
I don't know. Yeah.
Who knows? And then a really interesting one as well is that, although not officially credited in any way, Jordan Peele was an invisible hand in shaping the eventual
Really?
story. So the star Georgina Campbell played Tess. She told IndieWire in a interview, she was saying that the directors, Zach Cregger, is good friends with Jordan Peele. And that she thinks that he spoke to Jordan Peele a lot about the film.
Okay.
And he actually, Peele got to see an early screening of the film as well. So I think he
Oh.
might have had some.
So we saw a movie
Import-
that's better than Nope.
Yeah.
Nope sucked.
No, nope. Wasn't
Sure,
good.
he threw Nope in there. Nope.
Nope sucked.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It did. I didn't like it.
I
Did
hated
you like
it.
Nope? Remember we watched Nope?
Nah.
No. We watched it in Amsterdam.
We watched
it was
it in
the
Amsterdam.
worst.
We didn't like
and
it.
it was really hot, and I was a horrible movie.
We didn't like it.
None of us enjoyed
Probably one of the
Nope.
worst movies I watched
Yeah.
in the last
Yeah.
5 years.
It lost me. It definitely lost me.
Yeah. Not his best work.
Not
for
his best
sure.
work.
I liked all of his other stuff.
Not his best
Of
work.
course.
Yeah. Nope. Just didn't quite.
Didn't quite hit it.
But anyway, that. It'll be interesting. We'll probably never know, but it'll be interesting to see how much of an input he might have had in that movie.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just like,
Little
little
bit small
advice
input.
and
Yeah,
stuff like
little
that.
bit,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. It's still his own story. But I think that wraps up Barbarian.
So final
for us.
thoughts, because
Final
I've just
thoughts?
got one final thought that I wanted to.
Sure. For me, really loved it. I thought it was fresh, new kind of like interesting story. A lot of topics, a lot of themes covered. I like the difference, the juxtaposition.
Justin Long.
Justin Long
Timberlake
juxtaposition.
I like
Juxtaposition, yeah.
The juxtaposition of the dark themes and also the light and
Yeah.
a bit of the humor and this and that. And yeah, I thought the actors were really great. Yeah, I think I would give it like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, fresh. Sin Challenge?
I agree with you.
Go fuck yourself.
I actually really like Justin Timberlake.
Juxtaposition.
Timberlake's position.
it was good. What I like about certain horror movies is just the creep of angst and a little bit anxious, and I missed that. I remember the first time I watched Paranormal Activity, and not much goes on in that movie, and
You
I
love that
was
film.
on edge for the whole time for that movie, and I felt that. At the same time, there was humor in there, and there was little twists, and I enjoyed that. I haven't seen many movies that incorporate that well, and I thought it was fun. I'd give probably a 9 out of 10 as well.
Yeah. This is just one thought that I had. I think that first act was so well. That first act for me stands out so much throughout this entire movie. I absolutely second act, I think, just brought it down a little bit. It's not that I didn't like it, and I think it needed to happen so you can see where the story goes. And I like the way the story kind of progressed, but it just didn't grip me as much as that first act. That first act, I was so heavily invested in everything that was going on. In that second act, a little bit more of a lighter tone in certain areas. Kind of, I don't know, just mellowed it out for me a little bit more. But overall, yeah, I'd agree with you guys. I'd say like an 8.5 for myself. 8 to an 8.5. I thought it was brilliant. But that first act is, if that was a standalone short film, where you can then like form your own opinion as to what's going on and maybe just give it a little bit more information, I think that would have been like one of the better
Brilliant.
set, horror / thriller / it was just so many things going on in that first act that just had me so invested. But yeah, overall, I think it was a great movie. I really
It was
enjoyed
going
it.
for 2022.
It
Definitely.
was,
Yeah.
and just came out of the blue. Heard nothing about it prior,
Yeah,
and
snuck up.
They're the good ones.
I heard about it, and then I watched it next week, and that was all the information I had. So
I love it.
definitely worth a watch.
A con
Right.
could be a little bit, I could just probably say a little bit, was the character of Mother. Sometimes was a bit like, the powers were a bit like, it's a little bit too much.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could say.
I agree. Yeah,
So the second part, like the first part was amazing because she looked ferocious and fierce and scary. And then the powers were kind of just a little bit.
because it just goes into a realm of supernatural. It's
And
no
sometimes
longer
when a horror movie goes into supernatural, like,
you don't really know which way it's
Take
going
it
to go.
back,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
but I still
No,
enjoyed it.
I agree.
That's
I
the
did.
only
Yeah,
point.
same as me. That's what I'm saying. The second half just that could have been, like levels of Midsummer. Like that first act, I'm like, where is this going to go? Midsummer is probably my favorite movie of that kind of thing, where you don't know what's going on throughout the whole movie and random
It's
stuff
real.
just get
Real.
Whereas the second half just dropped off a little bit going into the end of the film, but still
Solid.
one of the better movies I've seen this year
solid
for
piece
sure.
of work. Great.
For sure.
It was a good breakdown. Thanks for joining me.
Release some more good horror movies.
Yeah. Keep them coming.
Whoever's
That was
watching
great.
this.
Yeah.
We need some more. If you like that one, check out some of our other podcasts. We'll try to do some more, pump them out.
Yeah, we need to
with
go.
some more movies that we get excited about.
Yep.
Thanks for jumping on today, guys.
No worries.
I think
Thanks
we
for
Thank you for having us.
I think we can conclude this one by all together joining in and saying together, Bebe.
Bebe.
Brr.